Welcome back to Virtual Realms. I'm Ranger One, and we are continuing our playthrough of Jurassic World Evolution. I've just been putting up some fence in the central area of the park. It'll be the second paddock that I've added to Isla Mantenceros, which is it's your starter island. The weather here is fairly pleasant. It's not a difficult area to build in, so we're going to take advantage of that for just a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and we'll do the research necessary to get our park just as polished as we can before we move on to anything else. And that includes sending out a lot of dig teams to try and get the genomes that we do have at our disposal already as highly evolved as possible, as close to 100% as possible. I am in no hurry to finish this game, unlike a lot of people whose comments that I see here and there. Well, just yesterday I saw some young man who was boasting or complaining that he had finished the game in 10 hours and was completely bored with it. And, a speed run through a game is fine, because that's obvious that that was his intent and his goal, to blast through the game as quickly as possible, taking every shortcut available. But we're not here to do a speed run. We're here to explore the game and see what it has to offer. So we won't be blasting through anything quickly. Now, I've been prompted to consider putting a hotel in to draw more guests in, and that just makes sense. So we're going to go ahead and scout out a place to put a hotel. I think I'm going to keep it in this central area, right next to this new paddock that I'm constructing. It should have an excellent view of it. That's kind of silly, though, because I don't think that really matters. I don't think you're counted as having visibility of the dinosaurs unless you have actual viewing station structures in place, either the towers or the view stations or the gyroscopes or a monorail, something of that nature. I don't think having a hotel that would have an excellent view in the area, or even having the pathways right around it with open fences, I don't think that really counts toward guest visibility, or if it does, it doesn't count very much. Although I have noticed guests stopping when a dinosaur passes close to the fence and like taking selfies with it and stuff, which is kind of a cool little animation, but I don't think it counts in terms of revenue or increasing your park standing or anything like that, and that's fine. I'm probably going to have to add some more power in this area too, and that probably means another power station. And I'll probably have to build up this little area with shops and restaurants and that sort of thing. If the population goes up, their needs are going to go up as well. So we'll start with power and we'll flesh it out from there. Well, I was just starting the upgrades and corrections to my power situation and expanding that end of the park around the hotel when a couple of problems have come to light. For the first time, I'm starting to see several of my original creations die, almost exclusively from old age. I don't think I've had a death for anything other than an old age so far. So I've been sending my asset control unit helicopters, big old Sikorskis, out to pick up the dead bodies and safely and sanitarily dispose of them. I'm assuming that somewhere on the island, or maybe offshore, there's a dino graveyard that has been created. But the helicopters do a good job, and it hasn't really been an issue. The other thing that does crop up from time to time is outbreaks of disease. And again, my teams of rangers are able to go out and deal with this in an efficient fashion. I think it's going to behoove me to keep up on my animal disease research so that I always have a cure ready for when it's needed. Oh, look, in this case, the poor Edmontosaurus has the common cold, which could be a problem with prehistoric dinosaurs that have no, capability to resist such afflictions. So the ranger team is on its way to inject healing inoculations into this creature, and she probably won't be happy about it. There they are. Don't run, buddy. They're just trying to make you well. It'll be okay. It's no wonder she's caught a cold. She's standing out in the rain all the time. There's trees. Get under the trees. But anyway, I have tried to make it a point as I bring these new creatures in as replacements to go ahead and tinker with their genomes. But the only thing that I'm doing to their genomes is, well, everything that's available to me at the moment to extend their lifespan. I'm not really concerned about making them better fighters or more aggressive or anything like that. Well, I do spend a little bit of money on new color schemes when I can. Anything to keep the visitors and myself amused. But anything that extends their lifespan is good for my park. It means a lower outlay of cash in the long run. And it means less work for myself and my hardworking ranger teams in the short run. So there's that.
Ah, the Huayangosaurus, another member of the Stegosaurians.
Yes, well, it will be forever called on this channel the Huangosaurus, just because it makes me happy. This kind of rounds things out in this initial herbivore paddock. It's a good match for the other 3 herbivore species that I keep in here already, the Triceratops, the Edmontosaurus, and the Struthiomimus. They all get along nicely. They have comparable population levels in the paddock that they will tolerate. Population refers to the total population in the paddock of all dinosaurs of every species available in there. Social more directly relates to just their own species. Some creatures are a little particular about how many of their fellow species members that they want around them at any given time. Some want a lot, some don't want any, other than presumably on date night occasionally. So there's that. So that has been my overall very simple money-making and success goal here on Isla Mantanceros. I kept things so very, very simple. Put a large herd, and I'm building that herd even as we speak here. As large a herd as possible of as many different species that will get along, species that prefer a lot of their own kind, and get along with a very large population of animals around them. This initial paddock is rather large, and it's rather pretty. And it was fairly easy to put good viewing stations all the way around it, so it's a steady, solid moneymaker that is popular as an attraction and is doing very nice things for my standing. I think it's kind of hard to go wrong with this, and that's obviously as intended. It's where you start out. It's not intended to be complicated. It's kind of hard to fail. But there are different levels of success, and I'd like to think that I've taken probably the most sensible and most fun way of going about it. Large herds of herbivores are, well, for me anyway, kind of fun to watch. And when you keep their happiness level up very, very high to where they're perfectly at ease, they tend to run around and do all sorts of stuff. As long as you keep them well fed and well watered, and you have your percentage of grassland to forest correct, they can get positively cheerful, which I don't know, a lot of people seem to have a little trouble with that. Oh, and voila, I have unlocked the next island.
Yes, Site C, more commonly known as Isla Muerta, a newly developed island. The name, roughly translated, and I do mean roughly, the island of the dead. Fitting. Humorous, even.
You know, more than a few people have commented on the fact that Jeff Goldblum is really kind of a Debbie Downer in this, as he is in the movies, and he's supposed to be. The very difficult to take ego that is correct more often than not, which is somewhat infuriating. But, you know, I kind of understand his point of view. He was a rock star of the mathematics world. And now it seems that the only time that people ask him for his learned opinion is in conjunction with these things that he hates oh so much. These dinosaurs and dinosaur-related parks. That's got to gall him quite a bit. Irritate him. It's redirected the spotlight from his brilliance at mathematics and chaos theory and has cast him in the role of an expert in dinosaur theory, which I don't think is where he envisioned his career to go originally. So I have some sympathy, even if he is a big fat jerk. Oh, well, anyway, the point of this whole section of the video was to point out that large herds with a high degree of dino diversity are a healthy thing for a fledgling park. Well, the time has finally come to get to the meat of the video. I'm going to start creating my 2 Ceratosaurus that I'm going to put in the central paddock. Now, there are those that would argue that the central paddock, completely surrounded by walkways with a hotel right there, is probably not the best place to start out with my very first set of carnivores here at the park. Well, in response, let me simply quote a very wise man that once said, "What could possibly go wrong?" After all, I'm not going to attempt to add anything combat-oriented or aggressive to their genome. I'm going to keep it pretty basic, make the priority a long lifespan, and, well, at least for one of them, the savanna coloration will be the color scheme of choice, which I believe is derived from a zebra genome, if I remember correctly. And we all know how cute and cuddly zebras are. I mean, you watched My Little Pony, right? Well, it's the same thing. So we should be fine. The second one I will likely leave its normal coloration, just to provide some, well, artistic contrast between the two and to help me tell them apart. I don't anticipate any problems with that. Ah, the first one's done. She is gorgeous. I'm going to have to quit looking at her and get her out of this pen as quickly as possible.
A carnivore, I see. This time, a Ceratosaurus. There are distinctive spines that run down its back, and a bladed horn on its head. Just what you
Seriously,
don't want
Cabot,
to
could
do
you
when you're
stop
out there alone,
babbling for a minute?
or in a group.
I went ahead and used the original Hammond Creation Station. There really wasn't room to efficiently merge one into the centralized paddock that I created. And I think that my losses will be, well, fairly minimal. Hopefully she'll hunt down one of the Struthiomimus, and not anything more important than that. And, well, I think we can kind of consider that an icebreaker to welcome her to her new home. Now if I can just find her. It took a minute, but there she is. Tranquilizing team is on the way. Oh, great. She's decided she's going to duke it out with a Huangosaurus. Well, that could end badly. Do not kill each other. Please. You're expensive. Try to have a little consideration for the bottom line. And in true Jurassic Park or Jurassic World fashion, of course, a storm has sprung up right in the middle of all this, complicating everything. You guys decide to head to neutral corners for a minute? Good. That should give my team time to tranquilize the Ceratosaurus before it can cause any more damage or get hurt itself. Don't collapse in the water. Don't drown. Oh my god. Alright. I just have to remember this is not Ark, and drowning is probably not a thing in this game. We'll just get our little helicopter to fly over there as quickly as possible. Pick up my little carnivore and drop them off in the nice, safe, cozy, centrally located pen that's surrounded by pedestrians. Everything should be just fine. Okay, here we go. The acid test.
Asset has been transported.
I hope I figured this out correctly. I'm almost afraid to look. Okay, we're gonna look. Are you? Oh no, 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 no! Don't get mad. Don't get mad. Just calm down. Oh. You,
Transit has commenced.
Oh, you don't have enough grassland. Well, I think we can fix that real quick. Hang on just a second. Let's clear out some of these trees. Let's just go a little at a time and see if we can hit that sweet spot. Not yet. At least that goat's keeping her somewhat distracted for a moment. Social looks like, yeah, we can stand one more Ceratosaurus in here. So, cool. That works. But she's not quite happy. This may be a little trickier than I thought. We're going to get rid of a few more trees. Why don't we just leave this all open here? And we'll see if that fits the bill. And perhaps it does. Comfort at 100%. Get a little drink. You'll feel much better. All right. Well, I'm feeling fairly confident now. I'm going to go ahead and finish up this little guy's playmate here. And we'll get two of them in the same pen and see if that happiness level maintains itself.
Transportation complete.
Here we go. Social looks like it's just perfect. And they're chasing the helicopter. I don't know if that's a good sign or not. Did they just snap at each other? Please don't fight. Well, I think they're going to be all right. Now the question is, are they going to feel froggy now that there's two of them together? And are they going to rush the fence trying to get to the people on the other side? I guess only time will tell. We'll just have to observe for a while and stand ready to react if necessary. There's nothing that makes me more nervous than seeing these two stalk the fences, looking at people standing just a few meters away.
It's the one thing we can't control and have to accept about these creatures. Some of them have the instinct to kill.
Okay. There's only one thing that makes me more nervous than watching these two stalk the fences with people only a few meters away. And that's listening to Heels go off on a monologue about how certain things are out of our control and some of these creatures are just natural-born killers. Thank you very much for that, Heels. I'll take that to heart. Perhaps you should consider taking some congeniality lessons from Jeff. Whoops. All right, this one... I'm sorry, dude. This one's on me. I made a mistake. I'll own that.
It's not my nature to point out other people's faults, but you really need to start improving things on this island.
All right, look, Heels, the plan was sound. These two Ceratosaurus were fine in there. The problem was, I was trying to put in another pathway by this viewing station that I just installed, and as I was removing obstacles that were holding things up, I accidentally removed a section of fence. And I didn't notice it right away, okay? It was me, it was human error, It won't happen again. That guy that got eaten, he's on the payroll. Insurance will cover it. And I further promise that we will institute mandatory employee safety training just as soon as I get a couple of emergency safety shelters built here on the island. And it's not in my nature to point out, the obvious, like the fact that it was not a couple of young boys that were in danger there. Say someone's nephews, whose mother trusted her only sister to look out for their safety. But that aunt was so self-absorbed and career-oriented that she lost track of them until it was almost too late. I'm just saying. Well, anyway, this little setback has kind of thrown my timetable off for this video, and it's starting to run a little bit long. I think we're going to draw things to a close right now, and in our downtime, I'm going to patch things up and make some additional improvements to this area. And maybe next video, we can start out by looking at those improvements and perhaps move on to the next island. That is, unless Heels has any further objections she'd like to throw in.
If I was the jealous type, I'd be pretty jealous of how well you're handling things on this island.
I guess that's a no. All right. If you liked the episode, please remember to leave me a like down below. And if you didn't like it, hit the dislike button. That's okay too. But if you did like it, perhaps even consider subscribing if you haven't decided to do that already. And as always, hit that little bell icon so that YouTube sometimes will actually notify you when there's something on that you want to see. Thanks a lot, guys. And until I see you again, take care.